You don't lose control all at once. You lose it in small moments. Moments no one sees. Moments that don't feel important. Moments you barely even notice. That's where it happens. That's where everything breaks. You're not failing because you don't know what to do. You're not stuck because you don't have a plan. You're losing control in real time and letting it slide. Think about it, not in theory. Today. Where did you lose control? Was it when you reached for your phone, even though you said you wouldn't? Was it when you avoided something you knew you needed to do? Was it when you told yourself later and believed it? Those moments seem small, but they're not. They're everything. Because control isn't built in big decisions. It's built in those small, quiet moments where you either act or you don't. And most of the time, you don't. Not because you can't, because you don't hold the line. You let the moment decide for you. You let the feeling win. You let the impulse take over. And then you move on, like it didn't matter. But it did. It always does. Because every time you give in, you reinforce the same identity. Someone who reacts, someone who negotiates, someone who loses control under pressure. Now flip it. Same moment, same pressure, same feeling. But instead of reacting, you pause. You feel the impulse. You recognize it. And you don't act on it. That's control. Not forcing yourself, not being perfect. Choosing your action instead of defaulting to your impulse. That's the difference, and that difference is everything. Let's slow it down, because this is where most people miss it. You feel something, urge, discomfort, resistance, and then you act immediately. No space, no awareness, no control. That gap between feeling and action, that's where discipline lives. And right now, that gap doesn't exist for you. It's automatic, stimulus to reaction, every time. That's not control, that's programming. And you've been running the same program for years. Avoid discomfort, seek ease, delay effort, choose what feels good now. And that program is costing you everything. Because every time you follow it, you lose a little more control. And every time you lose control, you weaken your identity. So now, we change one thing. Not your goals, not your routine, not your strategy. Your response. You create space between the feeling and the action. You feel the urge, and you pause. Not for long, just enough to decide, do I follow this or do I override it? That's control. And it's built in seconds, repeated over and over again. You don't need a perfect day. You don't need perfect discipline. You need to win more moments. That's it. Win the moment, you win the day. Win enough days, you change your life. But most people lose the moment, and they don't even notice. That's why nothing changes. Because they're not aware, and even when they are, they don't act differently. You're different now. because now you see it. Now you recognize the moment. Now you feel the impulse before you act. And that's where everything shifts. Because now you have a choice. Not a big choice, a small one. But repeated enough, it becomes everything. So the next time it happens, and it will, you don't react. You pause. You see it. And you choose. Not what feels good, not what's easy. What moves you forward. That's control. And once you start building it, you don't go back. Because now, you're not controlled by your impulses. You control them. And that changes everything. So the next time the moment shows up, and it will, don't miss it. That's where your life is decided. Act accordingly.